Liam Foster had always been a good neighbor in the community of Osprey Landing, focusing on his career in data analysis and keeping his property immaculate. His home, however, was framed by a severely aged perimeter fence that finally demanded replacement. It was a standard 6-foot cedar fence, and Liam solicited 3 quotes, settling on a local, highly rated contractor, Pacific Pro, whose bid came in at a reasonable $7,000. This seemingly simple project immediately put him in the crosshairs of Gordon Ellis, the board president. Gordon was a man who spoke exclusively in stern pronouncements and whose primary goal seemed to be eliminating any deviation from his own rigid, expensive standards. Gordon informed Liam, through a condescending email, that Pacific Pro was not on the approved vendor list, the only approved contractor for any perimeter work, Gordon insisted, was Precision Fences, a company owned by Gordon's brother-in-law, Keith. Precision Fences' quote for the exact same cedar fence was an exorbitant $12,500, nearly double the market rate. Liam politely refused, citing his right to choose a competitive bid for private repairs, provided the material met community standards, which it did. Gordon did not respond to reason. Liam proceeded with Pacific Pro, whose workers completed an immaculate, high-quality fence in 3 days. The retribution was immediate and vicious. The very next morning, a violation notice was taped to Liam's pristine new fence. The fine was $250 per day for using an unapproved contractor and failing to submit the correct procedural paperwork. Liam wrote a polite but firm letter to the board appealing the fine, arguing that the approved vendor list was a restraint of trade. Gordon simply rejected the appeal, raising the daily fine to $300. Liam refused to pay, and the fines began to accumulate with brutal speed, passing the $10,000 mark in just over a month. He realized this was not about the fence. It was about power, control, and Gordon protecting his brother-in-law's kickback scheme. Liam decided to sue the HOA to force arbitration, knowing that a full legal discovery process was the only way to expose Gordon's regulatory tyranny. Liam, however, was not content to rely on lawyers alone. His data analysis background demanded he understand the system he was fighting. He requested all public-facing financial documents from the HOA's management company, the annual budgets, the reserve study, the balance sheet, and most critically, the detailed vendor invoice logs stretching back 5 years. He didn't just look at his fence. He looked at every expense related to Precision Fences for common area maintenance, the clubhouse landscaping, the pool deck repair, the entrance gate maintenance. He cross-referenced the hours billed by Precision Fences against industry standards for similar work. The numbers were immediately and shockingly irregular. Precision Fences rates for common jobs like cleaning the clubhouse gutters or sealing the pool deck were consistently 40% to 60% higher than the competitive bids Liam sourced from other local contractors. The total billings to the HOA over the 5 years Gordon had been president amounted to over $300,000, almost all of it funneled directly to his brother-in-law's firm. The true nature of the fraud became apparent when Liam correlated the disbursement dates. Every quarter, within 48 hours of a large payment to Precision Fences, a substantial round-number debit would leave the corporate account of Precision Fences and land in a private LLC registered under Gordon's wife's maiden name, an LLC that was never disclosed to the HOA board or its membership. It was a textbook case of embezzlement and undisclosed self-dealing. The approved vendor list wasn't about quality control. It was a mechanism to funnel community funds into Gordon's family's pockets, with the overinflated common area maintenance costs used to skim profit off the top. Liam realized he was holding evidence of criminal fraud, not just a civil CC&R violation. He immediately stopped all communication with the HOA and instead compiled his evidence into a single, devastating package. The dossier was a meticulous accounting trail, copies of 5 years of inflated Precision Fences invoices, the corresponding debit memos showing transfers to Gordon's wife's LLC, and a comprehensive spreadsheet detailing the $15,000 in daily fines levied against him as retribution for disrupting Gordon's scheme. He bypassed the local police entirely, presenting the evidence to the Specialized Fraud Division of the State Police and simultaneously filing a formal complaint with the Internal Revenue Service (IRS) regarding tax evasion related to the undisclosed LLC transfers. The government agencies moved with cold efficiency. They obtained immediate warrants recognizing the clear pattern of financial crime. The climax arrived on a Tuesday afternoon during the monthly board meeting, which Liam was not attending. Two plainclothes detectives and an IRS agent walked into the clubhouse meeting room. They didn't discuss mailbox heights or fence colors. They read Gordon Ellis's rights and arrested him on multiple counts of felony embezzlement, conspiracy, and tax fraud related to the misuse of homeowners' dues. The effect was instantaneous. The story was a massive scandal in the local papers, and the HOA's governing structure collapsed instantly. An emergency court order was issued, freezing all of the HOA's financial decisions and appointing an interim receiver. One of the receiver's first acts, upon reviewing the fines levied against Liam, was to immediately void the entire accumulated $18,750 debt. The receiver determined that the fines were levied in bad faith, without legal authority, and were part of the criminal conspiracy that had just been exposed. Liam's new fence, the trigger for the entire investigation, was immediately deemed compliant. Liam Foster, the quiet data analyst, had successfully used the financial records he'd been forced to examine to not only save his own money but to purge the entire community of a criminal enterprise. His fence stood as a permanent, legally compliant monument to the defeat of corruption.